like parenting. Some days.
The Ramsey County Board of Commissioners meeting is called to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Fretham,
Here.
Modis Castillo,
Here.
McDonough,
Here.
McGuire,
Here.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Here.
Carter.
Here. Thank you very much. Commissioner Reinhardt, would you please say the Pledge of Allegiance for us while we all mute and join in?
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And let's see. Yes, we did do the roll call. So thank you. The minutes of the agenda of our current meeting are before you. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair. McGuire.
Second.
Thanks, Commissioners McGuire and McDonough. Is there any question or discussion regarding the agenda? Will the clerk please call the roll then?
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Modis Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Carter.
Aye. Thank you very much. And now the minutes from our last meeting are before you for your approval. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner McDonough, Modis Castillo. Are there any questions regarding the minutes from our prior meeting? If not, would the clerk please call the roll, and thank you.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Modis Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Carter.
Aye. And thank you very much. The minutes are approved. I'm going to turn directly now to the county manager. We have guests on our Zoom call with us for the presentation of an award. County Manager O'Connor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, good morning. We're going to do a presentation of an award given to Ramsey County Commissioners on the entire board today for being defined as active transportation policy champions. I'm going to ask Deputy Director of Public Works, Brian Isaacson, to provide a brief intro and then introduce our two guests joining you virtually today.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members. Super weird to be here without you, but glad to be here for this occasion. This is a nice occasion. Long ago, in a time known as 2019, we started a partnership with Bike Minnesota and the American Heart Association to reach out to the community and do some work relative to active living in the community. And I think that today's award is a recognition that's been individually given to each of you, but I think that our partners, Jess Nolan from the American Heart Association and Dorian Gurley from Bike MN, wanted to reach out specifically to the board and make an actual proclamation or an award to recognize that you are champions today and every day in the work that we do relative to active living and connecting that work on the public works side to public health initiatives. So, Jess, Dorian.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, commissioners and everyone attending. I'm the executive director of the Bicycle Alliance of Minnesota, and I'm really honored to present you all with the Active Transportation Policy Champion Award on behalf of the Heart Association, the Bicycle Alliance, and many others, including all those that bike, walk, and roll in Ramsey County. I started working in downtown St. Paul 39 years ago last summer, and have ridden a bicycle in Ramsey County most of the days since. I'm also a faithful participant in Active Living Ramsey communities, so I think I have a unique perspective that can truly say that these awards are very well deserved. Ramsey County has a great county-wide bicycle and pedestrian plan. It includes policies and plans for an all-abilities transportation and connected communities network, policies and plans to prioritize the safety and accessibility of the most vulnerable users, roadway users first. The county has a policy of dedicating a meaningful percentage of their transportation budget to biking and walking and transit connections. And that's on top of the recreation budget. Many of my miles were ridden on regional trails and local trails, so I truly appreciate those. And staff at all levels are committed and have the knowledge and experience to implement these policies, which I can't emphasize more. That's truly an important thing, and I really appreciate that the county has made that commitment, or we really appreciate the county has made that commitment. And I think you all know that this is not just, this commitment is not just one of public health, but one that will help sustain the communities in Ramsey County and help combat climate change. So collectively, we advocates for all these things really appreciate your long-term commitment and recognize you as the active transportation leaders in Minnesota. And I'm also in a position to be able to say that because I spend time with city councils and county boards all over the state. So that truly is, those policies and the commitment of funds is definitely something leading the way in Minnesota and actually in the nation. So we welcome the chance to work with you on an ongoing basis. You truly deserve these awards. Thank you again.
Thanks, Dorian. And I would just like to thank the Ramsey County Commissioners for continuing to invest in safe biking and in pedestrian infrastructure. Everyone in the county deserves to live in safe communities that promote health and wellness. And Ramsey County is doing just that by making neighborhoods all over the county more livable and ensuring everyone can get where they need to go. So the American Heart Association recommends at least 150 minutes per week of moderate exercise for adults and 60 minutes per day for children. So by removing barriers for people to get that activity into their daily routine is a huge first step in our efforts to encourage a healthier lifestyle. And it also reduces the risk of heart disease and stroke. So thank you again.
Commissioners, congratulations.
Thank you so very much. I think you see people clapping. It's hard to hear through the waves the joy that is in our hearts as we receive this award. And each one of us has the award that you sent to our offices. We are so thankful for it. We recognize that it is an award given to us as a team in Ramsey County. And of course, not simply to county commissioners, but to our leadership and to our staff who have all committed to transportation, for active living, for health, for sustainability of all our communities. So we just want to say thank you so much. It is so special that you're on the call with us this morning to recognize this achievement, which of course isn't for the award, but it is for our communities. We are yet so very, very thankful for the recognition, which lifts up the work and allows us, through its sharing with others, to be able to continue in support and to be supported for the ongoing work needed. I'm going to turn to my screen to see if participants have their hands raised, and of course they do. So I'm going to call on commissioners to just share a few words with you, starting with Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And as you all know, I'm fortunate enough to be the co-chair of Active Living Ramsey Communities. So on a regular basis, I get to work with these amazing people, Dorian and Jess with the Heart Association, the Bicycle Alliance, and a lot of other great organizations. And so we get to strategize and talk about how we can be even better at this work that we all care about. The All Abilities Transportation Network is so important to all of us. And I just really appreciate working with our partners in making that happen. So thank you so much to Dorian Grilly and Jess Nolan and for all of your work in helping us to get to these milestones. I want to give another shout out, of course, to all of our amazing staff, to Connie Bernardi, who heads up our Active Living Ramsey Communities, and she's been bridging, the work with Parks and Rec, Public Works, Public Health. This is an effort that really spans many of our departments and service areas. And so to get everyone to be working together is really one of our goals, of course, in all areas. And we see it especially in Active Living Ramsey Communities. A couple of us were lucky to be part of the biking and walking group, the committee that met last week. And we had a great conversation with community about, challenges and impacts that our biking and walking plan has on them and what they'd like to see. And we had like almost 40 to 50 people there. I think Commissioner Reinhardt will talk about it a little bit because she was able to be there. But we were just able to have a great conversation. Jess and Dorian were both there, and Brian Isaacson and Connie Bernardi. I mean, we had just such a great group, and to really talk about our work together. So I'm just really grateful to this board because many of you were here for the beginning of this Active Living. I was not here, but many of you were here when Jan Parker, my predecessor, brought this idea, and you all, and everyone embraced it. Everyone said, we think this is a great thing for Ramsey County to do, and you've continued to invest in it. And I'm grateful that it was there when I came here so I could continue the work. And I just know that this is work that we all believe in, and I'm just really grateful for being recognized for that, and grateful to our staff and all of us for keeping it going. So just look forward to many more bike trails and connections that we can all make together, and biking and walking trails, I should say, and many more opportunities for us to be mobile and be outside in our communities. So thanks so much for your great work.
Thank you, Commissioner McGuire. I'll call on Commissioner Matas-Castillo.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And I just wanted to echo our gratitude for you all and for also my peers on the board who have led the way in this work, as well as our staff. And then just want to brag that we have just been out doing 3 conversions, and permanent paint lines have gone in on Larpenteur. So if you haven't had a chance to check out those beautiful bike lanes on Larpenteur that are being used both for biking, walking, and rolling. I've seen several people who are, their abilities are constrained to a wheelchair, and they're using those bike lanes. So it really truly is about all abilities in Ramsey County, and it's also about equity. So when we have permanent protected bike lanes, that we know more people of color, more women, and young people are also able to engage. And so just excited to continue this work and continue to move it forward, and really proud of this award on behalf of all of us. But even just personally, I was really excited to receive it. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, and I will call on Commissioner Reinhardt.
Okay, I can't quite figure out. I've got a new system here, so I'm trying to figure things out here. I just want to say thank you as well. I was able to participate in the meeting that we had, and it was great to hear from Jess and from Dorian, and just the conversation all in itself was just great. I did mention that Commissioner Parker was the person who brought Active Living Ramsey County to begin with, and then Ramsey Communities to the board. And it was one of those things I believe came from the National Association of Counties. We've had a lot of really good ideas come through our participation at NACO. And I can tell you that I am actually very proud of the fact that the term All Abilities Transportation Network was born in my office, because I was so frustrated with trying to describe what, complete streets and all these other things just didn't quite cut it for me. And so it was really kind of out of frustration that I said, I just want something that all abilities can use. And voila, here we are. Anyhow, but it was really our staff, and it was the whole county board. It was everybody that embraced it and really made it part of how we do work here. We think about all abilities first, and then design things based on that. And I think that it has served us very well, and it will continue to serve us as we move forward. It's also, when we talk about any of our transit options, we are very clear and open about the fact that we want to make sure that that includes those that are walking, biking, and rolling. And so I just appreciate this so much. I had my picture taken with me on the bike with my award, and it's truly an honor. I guess that's what it comes down to. It's truly an honor, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Fretham?
I just wanted to say, Commissioner Mattis-Castillota, thanks for including me in this award that I know my colleagues have been working on for so long, and just want to reiterate that our work isn't done. I know in my district especially, there needs to be more investment in safe pedestrian and wheelchair and bike travel, and that's something we continue to work on. I continue to hear from constituents on a weekly basis on the need for more accessibility and more walkability and more alternative transportation options beyond cars here in the northern suburbs. So this is affirming of the work that's been happening, but also motivating to continue this work going forward, so it really does reach every corner of Ramsey County. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fretham. Commissioner McDonough?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Dorian, Jess, just want to thank you for the recognition and the award. It's humbling, but I also want to thank you for your partnership. We don't get this stuff done alone, and it's really important that sometimes that partnership is standing together and looking for more support and funding. Dorian, we spent many times at the state capitol, many hours together in meetings, and sometimes that's standing in a community that's not always receptive to the work you want to do, and being able to get a number of voices to help us help the community understand why we're moving forward like this is really important. So to both of you, I want to thank you for that strong partnership and for this moment of recognition for the work that this board has been doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ortega?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excuse me. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for all the good work that you folks are doing. Without strong advocates, we wouldn't get this far in the agenda. I'm also happy that we recognize Commissioner Jan Parker because even though, as Victoria stated, that we get good ideas when we go to NACO and different type of conferences about what people are doing around the country. She was a very big champion about this and was consistent and adamant about us moving forward. And of course, we embraced it, but she deserves a great deal of the credit for that. And so thank you for your work, and I appreciate all you do, and you're great advocates for an issue that's going to make a difference in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ortega. I'm going to check back in with Commissioner McGuire.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I did keep my hand raised. I did want to just let people know that anybody watching, that we are always looking for people to be a part of our Active Living Ramsey community meetings. We meet quarterly. It's a great meeting. We have lots of partners there, lots of really strong advocates for an All Abilities Transportation Network. And so if anyone would like to be a part of that and to get on the mailing list to hear about those meetings, they can go to our website at Ramsey County, or specifically they can go to connie.bernardi@co.mn.us. So just go on the Ramsey County website and look up Active Living, or go to connie.bernardi@co.ramsey.mn.us. So I just wanted to let people know that we always welcome more people to be involved. We have citizens who love to be active. We have groups that want to be active. We have great representation, and we always welcome more people. And I would just give a shout out to my co-chair, Peter Lindstrom, who's on the Met Council. So he is also the Met Council is also a strong partner in this. So wanted to recognize his work in this as well. And thanks again to the.
Thank you again, Commissioner McGuire, to all of the commissioners. We all so very, very much appreciate the work, and for all of the staff that has been mentioned, and particularly for Commissioner Jan Parker, who brought this work into Ramsey County. We are so thankful, and especially to all of our community members who participate with us so that it is possible for us to do this work, including yourselves. Thank you so very, very much for being here with us today, but also for being in community with us as we do this work together for and with our community. I'm going to turn back to you if you can, or if you would like to make any final comments, either Dorian or Jess. Thank you very much for being here with us.
No final comments, Madam Chair. Congratulations again.
All right. Thank you very, very much, all of you, and have a great day. We do have again, congratulations to all of us as a community for this achievement and the work that it represents. We have a very, very full day. As you can see, I'm going to turn to the county manager next for our COVID update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I'll go directly to soon-to-be Health and Wellness Deputy County Manager, currently also Public Health Director, Kathy Hadeen, for this week's Start to the COVID update.
Thank you, County Manager O'Connor, and good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Today, I'll provide you with the COVID-19 data update, update on upcoming testing events, some information you'll want to know about visiting the Ramsey County Care Center, and information about free masks. So we will head on over to the data dashboard. In Minnesota right now, well, collectively, cumulatively, it's going to be a fun update today. 124,439 people have tested positive for COVID-19. And in all seriousness, that's almost 20,000 additional people in the last 2 weeks, which is an increase from the previous 2 weeks. There continues to be a record amount of COVID-19 community testing, and there has also been a record number of people testing positive across the state, with an average of almost 1,300 cases per day during the month of October, compared to 630 cases per day back in May. Total cases requiring hospitalization to date across the state is 8,916, with 2,414 who have been in the ICU, and 2,238 people have died from COVID, and that's an additional 100 people in the last 2 weeks. There have been more than 2,531,998 completed tests for about 1.7 million people across our state. It's a positive sign that we have access to that many tests. We'll move over to the Ramsey County dashboard page. You can see at the top of the screen that our graph with new cases per day shows cases on the rise, with a record number reported on October 7th with 173 positive cases. If we scroll a little further down, you'll see we'll fix that cumulative case rates graph, but we have gone up to 238 per 10,000 residents in Ramsey County and continues to go up for all metro counties. The weekly case rate has also moved from 9.1 to 10.8. Thanks in part to our county-run community testing sites in October, if you scroll down a bit, we continue to increase access to tests with over 16,000 tests provided in Ramsey County. The weekly positivity rate has actually, on this graph, shifted down to 4.4%. I do want to note that the date of this data is from at the end of September. It will be a few weeks until we see this week's positivity rate, but I suspect it's gonna continue to rise. If we scroll down to the cumulative totals, you can see that we have had over 13,355 people who have tested positive to date in Ramsey County. That's 1,600 more people in the last 2 weeks. Unfortunately, we've lost a total of 345 people to COVID in Ramsey County. Before we leave the Ramsey County dashboard, I do want to point out that our data team, along with communications team, have created a St. Paul specific page. So if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can see we now have 3 buttons you can click on. If you click on the St. Paul page, you'll see that the data is broken out specifically for the city of St. Paul, as the majority of our numbers and cases are represented within the city. So let's move on over to the testing site. We do continue to offer free COVID-19 testing for community on Saturdays at Aldrich Arena for the remainder of this month, weather permitting, of course. We'll be there from 1 to 6 p.m. We do need temps to stay above 35 in order to keep the medical staff's fingers somewhat warm while administering the nasal swabs. And we are working on an indoor heated solution to get us through the rest of this month and November while we solidify an indoor site for the rest of the winter months. More to come on that. There will be another testing event at the Mexican consulate tomorrow, Wednesday, the 21st, from 2 to 6 p.m., and additional events at United Church of God on October 29th and 30th from 2 to 6 p.m. each day. Additional testing events will be held at the Mexican consulate throughout November and December, and as more sites pop up, we will update this page with information and registration links. We've provided almost 13,500 tests at our county-run and partner sites since August. Our positivity rates at our larger Aldrich events typically are around 3 to 5%. The October testing events have resulted in positivity rates around 6.6%, which mirrors the increased trends we are seeing in the metro area and around the state. The testing sites, again, are in partnership with our Medical Reserve Corps. We're very grateful to their volunteer time that they put in each weekend. Black Nurses Rock, Stair Step Foundation, St. Mary's Clinic, Minnesota Department of Health, the State Emergency Operations Center, M Health Fairview, and our own Parks and Rec Department. As a reminder, our testing sites are becoming very popular, so make sure you can get an appointment. Please register for the testing events at our website at www.ramseycounty.us/COVID, and you can click on over to the testing links. The Ramsey County Care Center is only allowing outdoor family visits at this time due to the current COVID positivity rate in Ramsey County. Exceptions will be made for end-of-life situations on a case-by-case basis. Administrator Mike Schultz and his team are also working on heated outdoor space to be able to continue the family visits through the fall and early winter. Things may change if our rate falls below 10%. The Ramsey County Care Center positivity rate itself remains low at 3.4%, and testing for all staff and residents continues every Tuesday. This week, they will test 321 people. 18 people were screened out last week due to symptoms or exposure, and those are staff that I'm speaking of. And the census, as of yesterday, was 111 people with no pending admissions or discharges. Lastly, a reminder about the free mask pickup event on Saturday, October 24th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Sears parking lot. That's located at 358 Marion Street in St. Paul. Ramsey County residents can come and pick up free masks to prevent the spread of COVID-19. There is a limit of 8 masks per household. This event is sponsored by our our Racial Equity and Community Engagement Response Team. So please stop on by and pick up some masks for your family, especially as we need to continue to wear those when around others, out in public, and continue to social distance to keep everyone safe and healthy. That's it for me. I will turn it back over to County Manager O'Connor.
Thank you, Director Hadeen. Just a few more comments on my end. There's a lot of data that always comes our way when we talk about COVID-19, and there's fatigue has set in, not just locally across the region and state and country, that clearly is contributing to behavior changes, which are increasing the likelihood of spread. A few things just to reiterate. The positivity rates continue to matter. It does not matter how many tests you have. The percentage of positive tests is a significant number that provides some level of clarity over time. Hospitalizations continue to matter, and we are not in a spot where we feel comfortable that things are trending in the right direction. And unfortunately, casualties will continue to matter as well. Recently, I came across a number reading about the 2017-18 flu season, which was an extremely deadly flu season for the state of Minnesota. Ramsey County's COVID deaths have almost hit the same number as the statewide entirety of that flu season alone. And so that's only looking at one county in Minnesota, and it is a continued reminder of the need to remain vigilant and remain steadfast. It will be a hard 6 months for everyone across this community, particularly those living at the margins, and we will do all that we can to continue to both confront that reality and not shy away from it, but talk about it every time we're here, because we need to be in this together in a trying moment for our community. Finally, I want to end on a more positive note. This will tie a little bit to the later update as well, but Director Hadeen mentioned the need for an indoor testing site as a part of our strategy as it gets colder outside and we cannot provide COVID testing through the winter for Ramsey County. We are deeply involved in looking at the Bethesda site for multiple uses. The conversation here has been focused mainly on homelessness, and for an understandable reason. We'll talk more about that today. But just wanted you aware that we have toured the Bethesda site. The State Emergency Operations Center is working with us in close partnership. They're also going to run a semi-permanent testing site somewhere in close proximity to that area based on transit and transportation access for our entire Ramsey County community. As of right now, the Bethesda site would be the preferred Ramsey County location for a winter testing site. We're not here to announce anything final today, but we are at a point where we feel comfortable talking about that out loud and saying we're moving in that direction. Director Hadeen could answer questions if you have them, but our staff have toured. We feel good about the site. One way or another, it appears we will have a testing site there this winter. It should not matter to a resident who's running it. We're working together with our partners to figure that out. And the biggest thing is we're ensuring that there will be multiple testing options in Ramsey County, both throughout this winter and beyond. And that's an exciting piece of news that hopefully is seen as an asset as we head into these challenging months ahead. With that, Madam Chair, we'd stand for any questions or comments that you may have. Thank you.
And thank you. In the midst of this pandemic, we appreciate all of the information that you bring to us about what we are doing in response, the work that is happening together with our stakeholder and community partners, and just very much appreciate your commitment and dedication. I have a number of questions. I'm going to go immediately then to the first questioner, Commissioner Reinhardt, or comment.
Thank you very much. These numbers are very sobering, obviously, and it's not trending in the right direction or what we had hoped. And I think part of it, as I was, commenting to Chair Carter just the other day, the whole idea of pandemic fatigue, and just thinking, okay, it's got to be over soon, it's got to be over soon. And as we head into the winter season, when we get a little more isolated anyway, it's especially difficult. But we cannot afford for the children, for the seniors, and all populations have been impacted by this. And we really need to make sure that we are taking all precautions, and masks is one of them. And I am excited about the mask giveaway. These are, my understanding anyhow, is that they are cloth masks. So there'll be some fun ones, I think. Anyhow, that people are really taking it seriously. We're not through this. And I know that we want to be, and we miss our family and friends and the things that we used to take for granted. But the bottom line is people are getting sick and people are dying, and it's not just people with pre-existing conditions. It's we're in this together. That's really what it comes down to. We're in this together and trying very, very hard to not let the pandemic fatigue cause us to be less vigilant about what we need to do to protect the people in our community. So I just wanted to say that. I'm glad that we are still having the COVID updates, and I know we're doing it in a little different way, but I think this information is really critical right now. So thank you.
Commissioner Reinhardt. Commissioner Fretham.
Thank you, Chair Carter. I just, more of a comment than a question, just wanted to share that I was able to volunteer at the COVID testing on Saturday, and amazing group of volunteers. And yeah, the 35-degree cutoff is real because it got very cold towards the end of the day, but everyone stuck around and we continued to have people showing up, and the community was very grateful for the testing, and I had multiple people just thank us for being here and for offering it. So thank you to our staff who have organized this and created a really efficient process for people to get through. And from my experience, anecdotally, I'll say that people coming through my line this past weekend versus this summer when I volunteered at Jimmy Lee, there were certainly a lot more people reporting symptoms, reporting exposure to someone with a known case, and often through something like a family gathering or a funeral or a wedding or hockey practice, and just reiterating the need to stay home when you're sick. There was more than one person who said, oh, well, someone had a test and they didn't tell us and they kept coming to school or hockey practice for 5 days. Or there was a man who was clearly coming from work that would have taken him into people's homes who had just about every COVID symptom there was and looked miserable. He should have been home in bed. And don't try to tough this out. If you are sick, stay home, get your test right away. But yeah, it is sobering and scary out there. And I just wanted to reiterate my appreciation for all the people who make the testing, the free testing that we're offering possible, their hard work. And it is a long day. I went home and took a very hot shower trying to rewarm myself. So thank you to everyone who is out there, and for the staff that are organizing and making it run so well. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for volunteering. I know in the cold, the energy that it takes is even so much more. Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to echo my colleagues' gratitude for the staff that we have working and the efforts that they have in now providing the masks and in the testing, and just for being out there on a continual basis to really help our population with staying healthy and making sure that they are tested. Reiterate too the importance of all of us, reiterating with our families and our connections that people should stay home when they're sick. I know my niece brought it home from her lacrosse team because someone playing lacrosse with her went and played sick. So it brought it home to their whole family. So it's just, I think we're all seeing it really close to home, and we just want to just make sure people understand the importance of this. So thanks to everyone at Ramsey County that's doing all the good work. I do have a question, Madam Chair, and I just want to ask, it's more of a reference question, like where can we find data on what maybe other cities are experiencing? I know that we're calling out St. Paul because it is our largest city in Ramsey County. Are there numbers in our dashboard for the other cities in Ramsey County, or would they be found on the MDH, Minnesota Department of Health website, or are they keeping track of numbers that specifically? And I'm curious about the other cities, that if people want to know what's going on in other cities.
Madam Chair and Commissioner McGuire, thank you.
Kathy.
Thank you. Thanks for the question. When you go to our dashboard and you look at the Ramsey County page and you scroll down, you can look at numbers of cases by city. That's one way that we're showing that information. You can also see number of cases by zip code. So there's a map located there that is shaded based on the number of cases. So that's another way. As other cities have higher numbers, that allows us to be able to place the data in a similar format that you see on the St. Paul page. But because in some neighborhoods within those cities, those numbers are small, it gets into issues of data privacy. So as we continue, unfortunately, to see cases increase, that will allow us to share data by city more completely and allow you to click on them and get more information. I do also want to just mention, I appreciate the comments made about making sure that people are staying home and that we're continuing to, if we knowingly have symptoms, to monitor that and not be around others. It's also important to remember the asymptomatic spread. Right now, within the state of Minnesota, the projection is that 10 to 12% of the state has already been infected, but those numbers aren't showing that because we don't know the people who actually have had COVID but never showed any symptoms and didn't get tested. We also need to have at least 50 to 70 people who have been infected before we can even consider this on the low end of herd immunity. So when you talk about how difficult this is going to be going into the winter months, that's very serious. We have a long ways to go. And so as we think about pandemic fatigue, we need to be doing what we can to support people to be able to do, make the right choices, protect themselves, protect others, and stay safe. So continuing to wear a mask, continuing to stay home when you're not feeling well will do a lot to help protect all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Ortega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is pretty much a simple one, I think, and that is, I get asked a lot by my constituents about, they hear a lot in the news about the third wave. They hear a lot about we're entering to flu season. And while the numbers are good for us to look at, most citizens just want the narrative. What does it all mean? So Kathy, can you bring some clarity? Are we in this area in Ramsey County or in the region, where are we in light of all this other news they hear regarding the third wave, the flu and so forth? The regular flu season.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Ortega, thank you for the question. This is new for everyone, and there's a lot of information out there. I'm not certain that we can call whatever we're in right now a third wave. What I do know is that we continue to see the home when you have symptoms, keeping your distance from others. That's what's really important about messaging. What I am hearing about flu season so far is that because people are wearing masks, it's a slow season starting up. So I'm hopeful and being infected will help actually protect them from flu moving forward. That's what I'm hearing, and I'm hopeful that because of the work that we're all doing to do this, that flu season will be minimal. I believe it's been reported where flu shows up first at warmer climates, like the southern hemisphere. They're seeing less cases, and so hopefully we can project that onto us as we move into our winter season.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all the questions that we have. And I am going to turn back then to Director Hedin and County Manager O'Connor for final comments on our update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, from Director Hedin and I, we ask everyone to go please get their flu shot. That's our final comment. Thank you.
Good final comment. We take it under serious advisement and are all on our way, if we haven't done it already. So thank you for the update. We want to remember that as we are in this period in time and we have health and economic and social concerns and unrest, we are working through this. We are all in this, as Commissioner Reinhardt has reminded us together, but to just take a moment of silence for all that is going on and for all of the work that is happening and committed response. A moment of silence, please. And thank you. Moving into our administrative agenda, I'm going to call shortly on Commissioner Reinhardt to take us through it, noting that we have postponed an item number 12 from last week. I'll be pulling that so that we can hear a report from County Manager O'Connor and staff. Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you, Chair Carter. Okay, the first item is item number 4, which is a purchase of services agreement with Recycling and Energy for Human Resource Services. I'd move item 5, fiscal agent agreement with Recycling and Energy Center. Item number 6 is finance enhancements at the Recycling and Energy Center. Number 8 is a joint powers agreement with the state of Minnesota, the Department of Corrections, to provide supervision services for offenders referred by to Ramsey County Community Corrections for supervised release or intensive supervised release. Item number 9 is the agreement with Corvell Healthcare Corporation for workers' compensation managed medical care services. Number 10 is a grant award from Minnesota Department of Human Services for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program Employment and Training. I'd move number 11, which is a third preliminary development agreement with AECOM for Ramsey County riverfront properties. Item number 12 is pulled. Item number 13 is the authorization of general obligation capital improvement plan refunding bonds series 2020A and taxable general obligation refunding bonds series 2020B. And with that, it concludes the administrative agenda.
Second.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Reinhardt and Commissioner Castillo. We have a motion and a second on the administrative agenda minus item number 12, which has been pulled. Is there any question or comment on the agenda and the motion? Lacking that, would the clerk please call the roll?
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Modis Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye. Thank you very much. All except the pulled item number 12 have passed. And we are then on item number 12.
Move approval, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second on item number 12, the lease agreement with Health East Care System for the Bethesda Hospital. And in discussion, I will call on County Manager O'Connor for an update on services and on our safety and security and also community engagement. Thank you.
Thank you,
County Manager O'Connor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I'll give a brief update on a few of the topics we discussed last week. Happy to answer any questions you may have. The lease agreement from last week, as revised, is included in your request for board action today. We already provided an update during the COVID-19 section about a testing site located at Bethesda. There's work to be done to finalize space and a lease to allow for that. There's still additional work that will need to be completed, but all indications point toward a successful outcome along that way. We'll keep you posted in the weeks ahead, and particularly as we learn what the State Emergency Operations Center chooses to do and how that would integrate with Ramsey County plans, but excited to continue to look at that option. Secondly, something that I wanted to highlight, mHealth Fairview has specifically indicated interest in supporting the county with clinical services involving an on-site or virtual care offering of preventative, primary care, and supportive mental health services as a part of their work and commitment to the broader community. I received that information yesterday, and I don't have any more to share at this time other than that conversations will be occurring with our medical director about what that would look like and how to best integrate with the service provision for services we have discussed here before. But rest assured that mHealth Fairview is committed to wanting to be a partner to ensure that medical care is successfully integrated as a part of the site. And that conversation is also ongoing, and I was happy to receive that message. Thanks to them for their willingness to continue to be a partner as we move ahead. There were 3 specific areas last week that we spent our time talking about. I'm going to briefly provide updates on each while pointing out that on a weekly basis, I believe every Friday, there's a newsletter that goes out from ramseycounty.us/Bethesda. That's where all information is being posted. That information will go out to people who have signed up to receive the weekly update. And so we will be updating the information in real time as we go, but for anyone who wants it to show up in their inbox, there's a way in which they can do that as well by signing up for the e-updates. So the information I shared today is not only going to be shared here, we will put it in print, we will include it on our website, and we will continue to talk about services, safety and security, community engagement directly as a part of that process as well. And as you have people reach out and ask for questions, I would please ask you direct them to ramseycounty.us Bethesda, ask them to sign up for the newsletter as a point of contact. They can also submit individual questions that they may have. On the services side, since we met last week, there is a full plan around an implementation project timeline. I'm not going to walk through every step and date with you here today, but starting on 10/12 with provider and staff engagement and outreach, going all the way to operational kickoff in December, there's a plan laid out for when all steps would take place, from scopes of services and requests for qualifications, when they would be open to the public, information sessions and site tours, review teams, contract and grant agreements, all the steps that you normally see are here. And as a board that works across and approves many contracts every year, you would know the timeline we're working under means there are 0 days of delay to do what we want to do on the timeline we want to do it. We will do our best for an early December opening. We will for sure make sure things happen in December, but we need to remain flexible on the specific date, particularly as we talk to the provider community and understand their needs and their ability to partner and what that looks like as we move forward. We will provide a weekly update. I'll keep saying that as we go on the service delivery pieces, but again, that relates to shelter operation services and how they integrate with the broader system. That relates to chemical health and how that integrates to Ramsey County. It involves mental health, and it may involve some partnership with mHealth Fairview based on what I shared with you earlier. Do not exactly have all that worked out yet. We'll continue to look at whether or not Ramsey County staff are needed to fill gaps in support as we go. That'll be an important update to provide back here as well. We are starting from the perspective of trying to find as many community partners as possible who want to be a part of the solution, but we appreciate the flexibility the board provided earlier this year with limited duration employees who can help fill gaps if necessary to ensure that we are not slowed down along the way. I know it is a priority of this board to find as many partners as possible so that we do not take this work on alone and we remain in it as a community together like our rest of our COVID response, and we will do all we can to ensure that is what comes to fruition. Specifically, I will ask that staff follow up with an update to the board on the community provider outreach and engagement strategy so you can see how we are doing that, and you can review in case you've heard from groups that you think should be a part of that outreach that we haven't quite thought of yet. That'll be a follow-up coming out of today. Safety and security, as we've talked about before, integrates with conversations around services. Our vision is to meet the needs of those in need, knowing that that is what creates safer communities. We will work in partnership with others to provide safety and security for shelter residents, our staff, and residents throughout surrounding neighborhoods and across Ramsey County. As an anchor tenant in the neighborhood, we'll be present and working in partnership with the neighborhood, mHealth Fairview, St. Paul PD, Metro Transit Police, our neighbors, and the entire community to ensure a safe and secure environment. To enhance safety and security of the green space for shelter residents and the community, security services will be provided by Ramsey County and Health East Care System through a security services agreement. 24/7 security staff will be present and provide periodic patrols around the perimeter of the building and the green space. Initial incident response, notifications to on-site service providers and Health East Care System, and engagement with law enforcement if needed as appropriate. It's important to note that those engagements may need to happen for reasons that go well beyond anything related to homelessness or anyone facing housing instability. And it's therefore important that we have an integrated response with our partners that recognizes it is not a simple solution, but a multifaceted partnership approach that ensures we are paying attention. The increased presence of professional staff trained in providing trauma-informed services and de-escalation tactics will support the safety and security of the neighborhood. Outreach staff will also be outside the neighborhood, connecting people already in the neighborhood to services. This is part of our homelessness outreach work that started well before anything related to mHealth Fairview and will continue on throughout this process. Service providers and mHealth Fairview facility maintenance staff retained at Bethesda through the contract will provide additional eyes and ears 24/7 as another source of incident reporting and paying attention to what's happening on the ground. There will be a phone number provided to the neighborhood to report concerns. Calls will be answered 24/7, and we commit to ongoing conversations with the neighborhood. We do anticipate safety and security will continue to be a discussion item with community conversations that we will schedule as we look at the month of November in particular. We propose regular check-ins every 6 months throughout the duration of the lease to ensure safety and security measures are working effectively for all involved parties. That would include the people we are serving, our staff, the neighborhood, to ensure that everyone is working together effectively. Finally, I'll end on community engagement. Our vision is to develop and execute a comprehensive community and neighborhood engagement plan between now and the beginning of December with a focus on 5 constituencies that we talked about before. We will identify impacted communities and stakeholders to ensure that we engage. We'll use different methods, and we have timelines about how to get information out, as well as bringing in past information that matters. And we'll ensure a variety of engagement strategies are employed. We are finishing on the planning phase for much of the work right now. We are developing a survey with focus questions and an evaluation plan for community conversations, meetings, and interviews with individuals. That plan should be completed this week. We will also be highlighting past engagement already done and how this work continues to build on it. All of that information will be up at ramseycounty.us Bethesda by the end of the month. Capital Area Planning Commission is an important constituency. Property Management Director Gene Kruger has been leading our conversations with staff from the Capital Area Planning Commission. I look forward to representing Ramsey County with a team of our leaders, as well as in partnership with the City of St. Paul during an upcoming conversation where we talk to the CAP board about the project, our vision for the site, and enlist their leadership and support on the places where we need their leadership and support to ensure this comes to fruition. We have a plan also to ensure that we coordinate at least 2 more upcoming community conversations with the local neighborhood, hopefully one in early November and one towards the end of the month. The racial health and equity administrators are working to design some community conversations that include protocols, process, questions, facilitation, so that we can ensure that people can be heard and we can be as effective in our approach as possible. We've had many successful town halls since the beginning of COVID, so we want to take those lessons learned and bring them to bear here as well as a part of these dialogues. We have a communications liaison specifically for the Capitol Heights Block Club, a neighborhood group that is raising questions and wanting to better understand the information. They expressed concern about making sure they heard that information, and so we've done our work to ensure point-to-point leadership connections are happening on a weekly basis so that there is no confusion about information and what's moving forward. We are working to engage with the help of our commissioners, both the Capitol Heights and the Frogtown neighborhood groups in the areas, and we'll continue to do so as we go. And we also know that all of you are engaging with residents daily and providing information as you learn it. And so there's a part of it where staff are building a structured approach, recognizing that commissioners have an important role to play in the flexible one-to-one resident and neighborhood conversations that also matter greatly to this work. We are working with our Economic Development Director, Carrie Collins, the St. Paul Area Chamber, and the Downtown District Council to develop a plan around business engagement, specifically businesses in the area. And again, similar to the last point, we know commissioners get individual outreach from businesses as we go. We are also doing work around broader Ramsey County residents and organizations concerned about homelessness through our trusted messengers, champions, and organizations on a broader level, through our housing subcommittee of the Equity Action Circle. That is the group that works directly with our racial equity community engagement response team, and housing was one of the areas they most cited as important. So this is an opportunity to work with them through the structured focus we put in place at the beginning of COVID for moments just like this one. We're continuing to work with the City of St. Paul to collate their previous engagement as well. We are not the only organization that's been out talking about encampments and homelessness. And so working to get their information in as well. And finally, community provider outreach is important to all of our work as well in this space. Many community providers have already reached out to myself and others to share thoughts, ask questions, wanting to be a part of the solution. I thank them all for their initial reach outs, and we will continue to do a significant amount of work in those areas as well. I'll end there, Madam Chair. I hope that's a helpful and comprehensive update to the many different parts going on. I want to thank the staff who have all been involved in making this happen. As I read through these engagement strategies, I see more than 25 names of people who have prioritize this work to ensure a successful rollout, to ensure that people are well served, and it does not happen without all of them making this a priority and driving it forward. So on behalf of everyone, I just want to say thank you to them, and for the neighborhood and community members for engaging in this discussion as we move ahead on this lease agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, County Manager O'Connor. And yes, it has been a very comprehensive and helpful update. I do have hands raised. I'll go immediately to commissioners, beginning with Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The amount of work that all staff and commissioners and everyone has done has been pretty amazing in this process, and I just want to say thank you. I know that Commissioners Ortega and Maris Castillo especially have really worked hard on the security aspects of this. We've all heard from the citizens within the neighborhood and outside of the neighborhood, both pro and con as far as what the use is. But I think the one common theme that I have heard regardless is the fact that this is something that is necessary as far as protecting people from harsh Minnesota winters. And we're talking about individuals and we're talking about families. And that's what we really need to do that. But we need to also have security measures in place and services, because that's really, it's not just about putting someone inside. It is to protect them from the weather, but it's also about the services that they need to make their life self-sustaining and moving forward, whether it's mental health issues or other services that are provided there. So it is the services as well. I think that what has been laid out, especially regarding the community engagement in the area and security and safety, and looking at how the services are delivered there, not just what they are, but how they are delivered, has been phenomenal work on behalf of Ramsey County by the staff. I do want to keep in mind that although that is, keeping people safe, Minnesota winters, when we were talking about 35 degrees, and yes, that's very cold when you're outside, but there's going to come not too far in the distant future, we're going to wish that we had 35 degrees and hope that it's not 35 below. But anyway, this is a reality of Minnesota, but it's not really the solution for the long term. And I think Commissioner McDonough said it best when he talked about why we are still here facing this issue. And so while it's not a solution to affordable housing and housing, it is a solution to the short term keeping people safe and outside or inside from the bitter cold that we know is coming. So we do need to work towards that solution for sustainable, affordable housing. And I know that our county board has taken great steps in making sure that that happens. And I also know that in talking to people that have contacted me about the Bethesda site, is that commitment to really making sure what we are doing for all people is so important when it comes to sustainable housing. And where we're at, I mean, we are at a turning point that is very critical in moving forward with that. So I'm really pleased that we have our housing stability, sustainable housing office set up in the work that we're doing there. And I know we'll probably hear more about the bonding bill and what happened there as far as housing. So I am just very pleased with where we are at with this. I do want to point out, as I did last week, that although it is not part of the lease, I think that it is very important that the letter, the memo that was sent to all of us from M Health Fairview that outlines what they are doing with the staff and the number of impacted employees and their plan to move forward with trying to keep as many people employed and in the workforce as we possibly can in this really critical area. That I do think that what they laid out sounds good on paper and making it happen, but I really do believe that we have the responsibility of making sure that we get an update on what is happening with the plans that they have provided to us. So I know that's not part of the lease, but I am going to state it very formally here, is that we want to make sure that we have an update as we are moving through this process, and I'll leave it up to the county manager, but I'm thinking for the short term here, because this is all going to happen pretty quickly, that to have a monthly update on where they are at, how many people have been able to move into the 900 people that were impacted, how many people were able to move into rather smoothly to the 1,200 openings that there are, and what does it look like? Because these are also jobs in Ramsey County and very critical need jobs. And so I want to make sure that we're looking at that bigger picture as well. They provided us with their plan, and I want to make sure that we have an update on that plan. And so I'm, as I said, formally requesting or officially requesting that to be added to our agenda for future meetings from M Health Fairview. Thank you.
And thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt. Although we understand the request is not for that to be a part of our lease, we'll want to make certain that as we work with the county manager and with M Health Fairview in the future, we do have the opportunity to hear those updates. And so thank you very, very much. I will check in with Commissioner Matas-Castillo.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt, for your comments. This has been a lot of work in a very short amount of time, but really is a culmination of a lot of work over the last year, where we have engaged with community, we have sought solutions, we have looked at sites, And I feel really comfortable in moving forward on this lease and our plan moving forward. Even though we don't have all the finest details necessarily decided, I think we're in a really good place to move forward. And so I really appreciate. I do want to acknowledge a couple things, and that I have heard from community members, as the rest of you have, both positive and negative, and some just suggestions and critiques. And so I want to acknowledge all of that and really appreciate all of the engagement as we make this decision. There was one part in the lease that the community wanted to raise, as well as the Nurses Association, and that was in paragraph 3, the background. The lease does say primarily surrounded by green space and institutional office space. And I do want to just acknowledge that it's also surrounded by residential homes and a neighborhood. And so just want to acknowledge that, not saying we have to change the lease at this point, but I just think publicly acknowledging that this is Bethesda is in a neighborhood, which is why we've done all the work around security. And so I just want to say that out loud and name it for the community, that they have been heard loud and clear, and that we want that partnership with them moving forward. I also just want to share how important this is, and I know we've talked about this over and over, but it's critically important. You know, this weekend, as Commissioner Fretham said, it got really cold out on Saturday, and so I was out visiting encampments and bringing resources to our neighbors who are experiencing homelessness, and they're, you know, at this point, they're trying to stay warm. There was a fire set for warmth, which is dangerous to our neighborhoods because that fire got out of control in the Troutbrook neighborhood, and there was some damage to the area. And so as we think about, you know, the engagement and who is concerned about who is where, this is impacting every single neighborhood across St. Paul and across Ramsey County, where people are experiencing homelessness. And we have neighbors like the Hamlin Midway neighbors who are going out to the encampments there and resourcing their neighbors and bringing supplies and engaging and connecting and helping them get resources that we need. We have the Frogtown neighborhood who has written a letter in support to this lease agreement and to our work at Bethesda, and their greatest concerns was about the workers who might be hired to run the shelter, to make sure that they have livable wages and that we're connecting with the immediate neighborhood. We have Como neighbors who are working tirelessly to reach out to homeless folks and to support and to even help us locate more and additional spaces that are dignified. And the North End as well, doing work to outreach to encampments and doing cleanup and resourcing. So I'm really proud of our neighborhoods and the work and the engagement of our community, and appreciate that support. I also want to just address that we've heard a lot. People have lots of ideas and about where we should move people who are experiencing homelessness. And many have mentioned empty buildings like Kmart, Sears, the Walmart. And I just want to acknowledge that they might be empty buildings, but they aren't necessarily set up for dignified spaces for people experiencing homelessness. And just because someone is experiencing homelessness, they don't have to accept anything. That we truly have to provide a dignified space for them with services. And that's what Bethesda provides. These are individual rooms with beds and showers and bathrooms and indoor space, along with the services for mental health and chemical health. And that is critically important as we build out this plan. And so I'm really proud of the work that our staff has done in connection with community partners and the work going forward. And so I just want to congratulate the hard work over the last couple of weeks. I know you've put in extensive hours to make this work as we move forward, and also acknowledge that we still have tremendous work that lies ahead to build community in partnership as we move through the winter months, not only for the Bethesda site, but other sites in the future. And our long-term solution for truly sustainable, affordable housing in our community. So I am very happy with where we're at the moment and support this moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Mascacio, for those highlights. And also Commissioner McDonough.
Thanks, Chair Carter. Commissioner Reinhardt used the word amazing, I think, twice. I'm going to use it again. Ryan, you and your team have just done an amazing job in this past week here, getting this teed up and listening to the board last week and listening to community and being responsive to an urgent need that we have right now in our community. And I appreciate all the work. I wanted to take a moment here just to talk about one of the issues that has popped up here. But as Commissioner Matas-Castillo has said, this is impacting neighborhoods throughout our communities, throughout the city and region. And we grow and learn on this, right? I challenge myself every day to continue to grow and have a deeper understanding of what's happening to help to try find solutions. One of the issues that always comes up is the issue around public safety. And I want to talk a little bit about that, right? And what that means, because this community in so many ways, whether, it's the social unrest and the justice issues around the killing of George Floyd, and tried to have an understanding of what kind of responses we have in our community. And certainly the traditional response we've had in our community around homelessness has usually focused around the law enforcement response. And we need to really have some conversations about public safety and when that's needed, when the human traffickers, the sex traffickers, the drug dealers come to prey on individuals without shelter, prey on these individuals who are suffering at their lowest moments in life. Absolutely, we need a law enforcement response. We need not only to protect these individuals, but we need to protect the communities that these predators are coming into. But when someone's suffering an episode from Tourette's, or we're witnessing the first time a schizophrenic having delusions that just are scary and to us, we don't understand, that is not a public safety response. That's a community response that we need to be able to be prepared for. So to continue to have these opportunities to educate myself, educate our community, to be able to do a better job about how we respond in our community. I've had so many conversations about the public safety piece. My AMC friends, they live in their buildings are there, their staff are going there, very personal connections to so many other folks. And it can be scary. I have a wife, I have 4 children I raised in our community, I have 7 grandchildren, and when you walk out your door, your first thought is about how do you keep you and your loved ones safe? But our next thought needs to be, how do we keep our community safe, and what is the appropriate response when things are occurring within our community? And when people are suffering from mental health and chemical dependency, a law enforcement public safety response is not the response that's going to drive change in our community. And we've got to get better at understanding the difference when we need a law enforcement response, and better at responding and having the capacity to provide a community response when someone's in crisis. I watched it play out last night. A dear friend of mine was suffering, and I watched it play out on social media, and this tug and pull about calling the police versus calling the community, and having that conversation is an important conversation to have. And so, Ryan, I appreciate the efforts that we've been leaders in this, and this is not about pointing fingers at anybody. This is about all of us growing and maturing in our responses and understanding, and willing to have these conversations. And Ryan, I want to make sure that Kathy and Max and Carrie and everybody who works on this, Sarah, I mean, I really truly believe we are leaders in this, but we've got a long ways to go, and this is an opportunity for us to continue to grow in how we work with community, continue to build that capacity, and what is the appropriate response when someone's having a crisis in our community. So appreciate all that. I'm absolutely, Ryan, I want to say, give me a date, December, because I want to know when those doors are opening. We're going to be respectful today, but about mid-November, I hope we have a date so that the community understands that we will have warm beds available for people in our community. And it's not just a 9 o'clock at night to 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. We are going to work hard to provide support for these individuals throughout the day. With that, I'll just say thanks again to everybody. Trista, Raphael, for your leadership here with the community. Ryan, you and your team here as we move forward.
Thank you very much, Commissioner McDonough. Commissioner Fretham.
Thank you, Chair Carter. I want to thank my colleagues, Commissioner Reinhardt, for your call to continue to ask Health Fairview to continue coming to the table and being accountable to the community, and what role we can play with that. I appreciate and support that call. Commissioner Mattis Castillo, for your comments about housing and dignity. That's so critical. Many of us have people in our lives who have suffered from mental health issues and chemical addiction. And our residents right now who are experiencing housing instability, on top of that, I hope we can treat them with the same love and compassion that we would treat our loved ones in similar situations. And then Commissioner McDonough, for your statements on comprehensive public safety. So right, and I really appreciate that. I'll say that for today, we are, things are getting conflated, and I want to make it really clear that our decision today is about leasing with Bethesda, and it's not Bethesda or some other site that doesn't exist, that's not within a neighborhood. It's, are we going to lease with Bethesda, or are we going to leave 100 people on the street as we wait for the 4 to 7 inches of snow to start to fall? Our decision today isn't should we lease from Bethesda or should we let Health Fairview continue it as it is. Health Fairview has already decided they are moving out of it. So it's that building's going to be empty, or we are going to be able to use it to house people in dignity. Those are our choices before us today. And so this idea that there are some other alternatives that are better, like those aren't on the table for us. And so I do believe, and County Manager Connor said this as well, that this is safer to house people with dignity, to have them access services than what we are doing right now. So what we are in voting for this, we are voting in support of dignity, in support of comprehensive public safety, and safety for the entire community. And I wouldn't be voting for this if I didn't firmly believe that our staff are going to continue their efforts in ongoing partnership with Health Fairview, with the community, with community partners. I 100% believe that, and we will continue to hold our staff accountable to that through these meetings. And that also that this lease is going to be mutually beneficial. Not only does it help us achieve our goals, but it's my belief that in partnering with Health Fairview, we can stem and mitigate additional losses to their workforce, because we are very concerned about the loss of healthcare in the East Metro, and that appreciate the opportunity for additional partnership with them. And I'm glad to hear that that's on the horizon, and we're continuing to talk through that. And this is just the beginning of a partnership that we hope can support their continued presence here in our community and offering health care for everyone. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fretham. Commissioner Ortega. It appears there is some difficulty. I'm going to go on to Commissioner McGuire and return to you, Commissioner Ortega.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and then we'll let Commissioner Ortega and you, Madam Chair, wrap it up. And I can't say it any better than my colleagues have been saying it. Thank you so much, Commissioner Fretham, for your capsulizing that what decisions are before us. This is exactly correct. The decisions that you pinpointed. And Commissioner Reinhardt, you started us out with such a great overview of what we really are about here. And just Commissioner McDonough and Mattis Castillo, Ortega, Carter, just your leadership in this area. I just give kudos to our entire board and to you, County Manager O'Connor, and all of the staff for all the work that we're doing to make this work. And it is about providing shelter to people who are experiencing homelessness. And we are committed to that. We have been committed to that, and we need to do that. But we're committed also to the bigger picture of providing sustainable, affordable housing, some with services, and just making sure that we're taking care of all of our community in Ramsey County. I know we're all hearing from people who are concerned about how this is going to happen and about the jobs and about safety and security. And these are all really important aspects, and we will continue to work on that. And we are committed to doing that. And I'm just adding my voice to those of my colleagues in supporting this effort and just being grateful that we are all committed in the same direction to making sure that this happens in the best way possible, and that we continue to look for more spaces. We need more spaces to do this with, because we have more people that need a shelter in the coming months. And so I just want to say thank you, and we just keep moving forward on this effort and on the bigger picture effort too. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McGuire. I see Commissioner Ortega has unmuted. Commissioner?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. First of all, I'd like to echo what all my colleagues have stated, very eloquently, by the way. But foremost, I would like to thank the community. You know, I've had conversations with a few dozen of folks, and they're very concerned. But I got to say that they've been very courteous. There's been good discussion, and that's the only way we're going to solve these issues. And so I want to applaud them for that. And the other is the staff. They've done a fantastic job, and I want to congratulate them. But moving forward, we got to make sure it's not over. We're just beginning. And so moving forward, we need to make sure we stay engaged with the community. We address their issues of safety, security, and services that are coming out of the facility. But it also serves, as stated by Mary Jo, it serves as a prototype for us. We are going to have to engage community on very difficult issues of this type. And we need a framework by which we move forward. And I think we have I feel good about how we proceeded with this particular issue. And while we talk about community engagement, we got to make sure that we get ahead of the curve and that we communicate with neighborhoods ahead of schedule, ahead of time. We know it's difficult. We know they're not going to like it. We're all, including myself and my district, I'm sure there are going to be other sites probably where we're going to have to put in homeless, and we all are going to have to address it and accept it and make it, it's difficult. We are in difficult times. We got to make difficult decisions. And I think we've moved quickly. We don't have the luxury of time. I feel good about it. I feel good that we're going to move forward in a positive way. We just can't drop the ball, though. We got to make sure that what we said today happens tomorrow. So thank you all for everybody's good work.
Thank you, Commissioner Ortega. I do see Commissioner McDonough's hand raised again. All right. Well, I don't have to say a whole lot before we move forward based on the statements of our staff and the report that has come back to us and all of the commissioners. It is clear that the work we are doing today is urgent. There is a clear and urgent need to provide places to stay, shelter for members in our community who are currently homeless. This is not a sudden need. It has been ongoing that there have been homeless with us, and it will be ongoing that there will be homeless with us. And during this pandemic, the need to address those ever-increasing numbers is clear. This is not an ending to the work that we are doing to ensure that the continuum needed from shelter to affordable housing to address our community's needs exists together with our partners. And so there will be more. And this is a start. It is a start of the engagement with community around issues of locations that are going to be needed. And this because of the engagement that community members have stepped up to be a part of during this short, concise, but necessary period of time is an opportunity for us to have learned and to build out those strategies that will ensure the continuing conversation the continuing fleshing out of issues and working together, and the continuing expansion of the work that we need to do as is appropriate, again, across that entire continuum. I believe that we are ready for a vote on housing this 100 plus people as our next steps in ensuring that we have that continuum. I am looking, and I do not have additional questions from commissioners. I'm checking with the county manager right now before we move to ask for a roll call vote. County Manager O'Connor.
Madam Chair, members, thank you all for all the comments. I know our entire team is watching today, and I appreciate on their behalf your validation of the work and the direction that we're headed. We truly need to do this together, and it requires everyone working together, both inside and outside the organization in partnership. On the part about the broader questions and concerns about the changing healthcare environment around us, some of it related to COVID, some of it related to financial pieces, I would just say we will continue to work to bring those conversations before this board to have those systemic pieces back in front of you. I commit to working to ensure that we can do that, as it's important we know to everybody who's both a part of this conversation and not. And then just a personal note of appreciation. I think the easiest thing to do when it comes to issues of homelessness is to look away, turn the other direction. And we see many communities across the country who have made that choice at different times. And it's never easy to deeply engage and go through the processes we're going through now. So thanks to all of you and everyone else who's working on this in our community.
So once again, I appreciate all of the discussion this morning. We are prepared at this point then to call on the clerk to take the roll.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Mas Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Carter.
Aye. Thank you very much, and the item has passed. I just want to once again reiterate the thanks to our community for engaging in this critical and urgent discussion, for raising questions, for sharing in the consideration and the development of our pathway moving forward. We also appreciate the work that the staff has done in this report coming back, confirming to us that we are working to enhance the safety of both shelter residents and the surrounding community by providing around-the-clock security services through Ramsey County and Healthy Care System in the Security Services Agreement, for ensuring that outreach staff will be working in the surrounding area and connecting people there already in the neighborhood to the facility and to related services, for ensuring that mHealth Fairview maintenance staff will be retained at Bethesda for care of the building and the grounds. So as the lease with mHealth Fairview is now approved, our next steps include to complete the definition of services in the RP for the full set of services that are needed to ensure that we are able to bring people in from winter's cold, and to work with our community stakeholder and organizations and groups on next steps, including partnerships and collaborations that are required to attend to true public safety and security for all. That we are providing continued opportunity to hear and to address questions and concerns of neighbors as we prepare to participate together as neighbors with our partners in operating a temporary shelter at Bethesda. The county will continue to engage the surrounding community and neighbors as we plan for the site for progress and services to come online in the weeks and months ahead. So again, to learn more about the site and upcoming community engagement opportunities, community members are encouraged to visit ramseycounty.us/Bethesda and to share additional comments or concerns with Fairview, with mHealth Fairview, to visit fairview.org/community-comments. All the feedback and assistance we've received from community members and groups during this compressed period of time that's been available to us, again, as I said before, will be helpful to us in exploring opportunities and challenges for our enhanced and ongoing communication, understanding, and work together. We will note that we are asking the county manager to identify those venues and opportunities for us in the upcoming weeks to continue to engage with mHealth Fairview to understand the implementation of their plans for ensuring healthcare services and also continuing staffing and employment to serve our community. Want to thank all of you for your engagement in this robust discussion. And now that we have completed our work on the administrative agenda, we will move to our ordinance procedures. There are 2 items there. The first is the 2021 Solid Waste Facility Bond Ordinance waiving the first reading.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioners Reinhardt and Ortega. Are there questions or comments regarding the waiving of the first reading of the 2021 Solid Waste Facility Bond Ordinance? Lacking questions or comments, I'll call on the clerk to call the roll.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Modis Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Carter.
Aye. Thank you very much. The first reading is waived, and we're now on item 15 on our agenda, which is the 2021 Solid Waste Facility Bond Ordinance, setting of the public hearing date for November 17th, 2020 at 9:00 a.m. or as soon thereafter as possible in the council chambers, 3rd floor of the Ramsey County Courthouse, on the proposed 2021 Solid Waste Facility Bond Ordinance. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioners Reinhardt and Modis Castillo. Are there questions or comments regarding the setting of the public hearing date? Lacking questions or comments, I'll call on the clerk to please call the roll.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Modis Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Carter.
Aye. Thank you very much. The public hearing date has been set for November 17th, 2020 at 9:00 a.m. And that concludes our ordinance procedures. We're moving on then to county connections, which will include legislative comments as well. I do see a hand raised. Before we go into that, I'm going to call on Commissioner Reinhardt.
I just wanted to comment that I hope that people will check out what we are doing as far as the Recycling and Energy Center, the items that we just passed. This is an exciting time. When we purchased the facility, we made a commitment to do the right thing environmentally and to try to reuse, recycle, compost, all of the things that we feel are very important from an environmental perspective regarding our solid waste management. We didn't buy it just to continue chopping up and burning it. And that's what this bond request and what we're going through right now does. And I know that we will be hearing about the funding through our legislative report as well. But I didn't want this to go forward or to pass without drawing people's attention to the exciting things that we're doing regarding organic, durable, compostable bags and pulling out more recyclables, and what it really is going to mean for not putting things in a landfill and not just simply burning it, but trying to get the best use out of what we have discarded. So there are many different aspects to this, but I think it's incredibly exciting to be able to move forward in such a progressive way and fulfilling our promises. Thank you.
I want to thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt, for not allowing us to just slide by the item. I appreciate that you've highlighted it at this point, and we will be able to continue to hear about that work moving forward. I do want to start our county connections with Commissioner Fretham, and we'll go down the list alphabetically. Thank you, Commissioner Fretham.
Thank Thank you. Not much to update from last week. I'll just note that at last week's CAP-RW board meeting, I was elected to fill the remaining term of our vice president who had to resign. So taking on a new leadership role there, looking forward to continuing our efforts at CAP-RW.
Thank you for fulfilling that very important role, for standing to be a leader in that regard, as you and Commissioner Matas Castillo have served to represent us on that board. We appreciate that, along with staff representation as well. I'm going to call then on Commissioner Matas Castillo.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to share that continued outreach and community input about the Rice Street redesign is happening. There was an event this weekend and one again scheduled later this week. We also continue to ask community to provide input on our Ramsey County website about their vision for Rice Street as we make enhancement and improvements there in the reconstruction. So great work, and another great shout out to Public Works, who have completed the repairs on Maryland and Larpenteur and McKnight, as well as working on Como and Cleveland and Energy Park Drive. So they are doing great work on our roads to make them safe. As we received this award this morning about active transportation and our all abilities, and so they're putting that into fruition for us. So thanks to Public Works, and I'm really happy that Commissioner Reinhardt highlighted the work that we did and all the really great stuff we were passing today around the Recycling and Energy Center. It is exactly what our community has been asking for a long time. And so we're really excited to be able to move that forward in organics recycling and really thinking about our environment and the tremendous impact that we have here locally in Ramsey County and Washington County on this work. And so thank you for your leadership, Commissioner Reinhardt, and being a steadfast champion for our environment for so long, and I'm happy to follow in your footsteps as we continue to move that work forward. So with that, I'll rest. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Matas Castillo. I want to note before I go to Commissioner McDonough that we are in board and committee reports, and county connections is really the term for our county manager's report. I will be sure to call on our county manager so that we get the remaining portions of update there. Commissioner McDonough.
No report.
Thank you. Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm going to add my thanks and just gratitude for us moving forward on the Recycling and Energy Center. I'm excited that we were able to get $7 million in the bonding bill that passed last week. When I last reported on this last Tuesday, the House had passed, but we were waiting on the Senate, and we didn't want to jinx anything. And we were, I think, just all holding our breath that the issues we did have, that the items we did have in the bonding bill would stay there and not get called out. And so that we didn't get everything we wanted in the bonding bill, but as we all know, the House and Senate did pass it. It's awaiting signature by the governor, who we're anticipating is going to, he's definitely going to sign it. And so we are just grateful that we have the Recycling and Energy Center included in that bill. We have Battle Creek Recreation Area. We have the 35E and County Road J intersection, and St. Paul got the Kellogg Bridge, and we are, and a lot of communities got a lot of things, and we'll get a more detailed report of that after the governor signs it. And so at some future board meeting, Madam Chair, we could have Jennifer O'Rourke and Melissa Finnegan come and talk about, what happened at the legislature. There's still a chance that they're going to go into special session, I think, to keep the ongoing resolutions going for the governor. But the bonding bill has been passed. That's the big news, and we're very grateful. And we will continue to work on the items that did not get placed, that were not in it, which includes, our riverfront project. And so we will just continue to keep working on, and our second train to Chicago. We were very disappointed on both of those not getting any traction in this bonding bill, but hopefully next year we'll get that. So that's my legislative update, Madam Chair, and you'll get more details on that. Just a couple of other things that that we're doing, just to give kudos and a shout out to our St. Paul Children's Collaborative that's been meeting. Commissioner Carter and I serve on that. And, you know, we're looking at, okay, how do we meet unmet needs in St. Paul? So, you know, a number of organizations are looking at redirecting some of the dollars that we have to really focus on emergency needs. And so we had a really good discussion on that, and we're still going through that on where we target dollars in that. So I just want to give them a shout out for that. I talked about our biking and walking team. We just had such a great meeting on that. I want to just say that AMC has an effort going with Braver Angels, where they're connecting a metro commissioner with a rural commissioner. And I encourage all of you to do this if you have not already volunteered to do this. It's a great conversation. I had my first conversation last Friday. I'll have another one in the coming week. And it's just really helpful. I was actually aligned with someone that I thought I was more aligned with this person that I was talking to. And it turns out we learned so much from each other. So it was really helpful. So that's AMC's effort to really help us bridge divides within our state. And I think we can all benefit from that. And in talking about AMC, our District 10 meeting is this Friday. So I hope everyone has it on their calendar and that we all attend. The meeting is from 9 to 11. It will be a virtual meeting. But it's really important that we all show up because our contributions are really helpful in District 10. So that's the metro region for those watching. And then I'm looking forward to our TAB meeting where we're talking about our ABRT projects. We're just getting information on those, which we have several in the running for those, that meeting, and I'll present on that later in more detail. So thank you, Madam Chair. That ends my report for this week.
And thank you, Commissioner McGuire. Commissioner Ortega.
No report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Ortega. Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you. Well, you'll note that there's no census T-shirt behind me. The census is officially done. And now the work starts at making sure that we get all the information pulled together for all the states, and we'll see what happens. We in Minnesota did get 99.9%, and I think actually the most important number is the 75% self-reporting. That we know is so critical that we get an accurate count, and I'm very proud of the work that the St. Paul Ramsey County Complete Count Committee put into this for Ramsey County and all across the state of Minnesota. We should be very proud of the work that we have done here. And so we will see what happens, I guess, going forward. But it was on again, off again, on again, off again, and finally it is complete. And we appreciate the extra time because of COVID that was put into this. It was supposed to go through October 31st, but October 15th or 16th, I can't remember which date it was, that it actually ended. So their work starts now and in conjunction with what we've done. I also wanted to note that I was able to participate in the World Food Day forum that was put on by Global Minnesota. It was absolutely amazing. Again, I'm using that word, I know. But really, people from around the world were providing information about how important good nutrition is and moving forward, and that the next pandemic they look at as being one of hunger. We live in a country where we, for the most part anyhow, don't have to worry about where the next piece of bread is coming from, although in some instances that is a problem. But I think that there are parts of the world and our own community where hunger is a real issue. It's the 75th anniversary. And it was truly, I mean, it was an all-day event, and it was truly just a great learning experience. And I thank Mark Ritchie from Global Minnesota and the other partners that put this on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Reinhardt. I'm just going to add, given so much has already been shared, that this past week I was able to participate along with our social services director, Ann Berry, with the Association of Minnesota representatives from around the state and Commissioner Jody Harpestad, and a financial overview and engagement of county participants in looking forward to the Department of Human Services budget next year. Certainly, we are all in a circumstance where all departments will participate in the need to ensure budget for next year. The background that was provided by the state was helpful, and I might add, this is actually a first in which we are being invited to the table ahead of the legislative session to provide input and to partner as DHS looks at the challenges and opportunities for creating a budget that will work for us during this next session. It is a difficult period of time. The challenges are great. The opportunity of working together provides us with a positive perspective that we will be at the table and we will be able to help to design changes that are needed as we move forward in the coming period. So again, thank you to Commissioner Harpstad, to staff, and to the Association of Minnesota Counties, our MAXA partners or human services directors for the assistance being provided in this time period. And finally, we are going to end our meeting with county connections. I'm calling on the County Manager O'Connor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, two pieces of good news. We have been selected by the Urban Institute as a finalist for their Upward Mobility Cohort. We had submitted a request for interest. We just found out recently, as on Monday, so yesterday, that we were selected as a finalist, and we're being invited now to submit a full proposal. There's a short video that explains the data and the framework. I will ask Carrie Collins to share that information with all of you so you can see more about this upward mobility from poverty work happening from the Urban Institute. There were 26 named finalists, including Ramsey County, from across the country. We are the only named finalist from what I see from the state of Minnesota. Huge kudos to our staff for this work and getting this far into the process. We aren't done yet, and I hope to come back with a different announcement. The deadline is November 24th for our next submission, so we'll know more sometime after that. The last thing I would add to this, when I look at the list of finalists, you'd see many counties on here you recognize. But when I think about our reform work that has stood out in justice reform, particularly juvenile justice, but now justice reform more broadly, and I look at this list, they are not full crossover lists. We are one of the few counties that are showing up on both the lists of upward mobility out of poverty in our work in that space, alongside correctional system change and reform. And it is definitely a both and to truly achieve the county's vision, mission, and goals. And it's really exciting to see the work in this space. So kudos to the EGCI and health and wellness teams for their shared work in this space. Finally, I'll leave you with words that went to the Secretary of State and then found our way back to our office. That rarely is always a good thing, right? You get these emails and you kind of cringe when you open it, but I wanted to share a recent voter's experience. It sets us up well for our next workshop. I wanted to let you know how great my voting experience was when I voted early in person in Ramsey County. Staff at each step of the way were informed and helpful. My husband and I both voted at the Plato location. We were very pleased at the COVID-19 measures being taken, as well as the thoughtful security measures that had clearly been set in place. I recommended the Plato location to a close elderly friend who had an equally pleasant and rewarding experience. Staff had a chair for her due to her inability to stand for only short periods of time, along with being able to answer the questions that she had when she arrived. All in all, we just wanted to take a moment to thank you for your work and the great results you have given all of us as voters. You are a public servant I am proud of, and I appreciate Ramsey County. This came from a resident in our community who, it was neat to get to read that. I know that's the experience of many. I wanted to lift up the elections team during a time where they are working nonstop, and I look forward to talking with you more about it in the workshop to come. Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes County Connections this week.
Thank you very, very much, County Manager. And that was a great segue to the balance of our work happening today as a board. We will have, following this
board meeting, a workshop on the 2020 general election chaired by Commissioner Ortega. I am going to ask that we get back by 11:05 for the start of that workshop again at 11:05. We'll take a break and come back. And then our homelessness county board discussion to continue our focus on addressing the continuum needed to serve homeless individuals and families in our community. That workshop will be this afternoon, or I should say board discussion will be this afternoon at 1:30, virtual meeting. Thank you very much. We will then adjourn this meeting and go to our break prior to the 11:05 discussion. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Tony.
Yes, I was just about to hit leave.